Lovely story for you now. 95-year-old veteran of the Dutch resistance has been paying tribute to his World War II colleagues by recreating one of the vital radio messages that he sent back to Britain.
Bram Grosnicht was parachuted into the Netherlands by the RAF 75 years ago. He risked his life carrying out undercover intelligence work, as Breakfast John Maguire has been finding out.
He brings all the horrors of total warfare to three of the fairest and cleanest of neutrals in Western Europe.
Despite that neutrality, the Netherlands was dragged into the war by the German invasion of May 1940. A year later, at 18, Bram Grosnicht fled his country, eventually ending up in London, where he was recruited by British intelligence. Now, exactly 3/4 of a century later, he's come to the Dutch Resistance Museum in Amsterdam, and at 95 is dusting off his Morse code to communicate with Britain once more. Through the crackle and the white noise, the distinctive dots and dashes are picked up at Duxford, now part of the Imperial War Museum, but then an RAF base where the radio signals were received.
He says,
it's all still in my head, all still in my fingers.
It was exactly 75 years ago when Bram took off from RAF Tempsford, just half an hour down the road from Duxford, to be flown back over Holland and parachute down home once again on Dutch soil, but this time deep behind enemy lines.
For Bram, this was an emotional but highly significant occasion. He wanted to thank the RAF and pay tribute to those in the resistance who were killed.
We will always remember them. With warm regards and best wishes, Bram Grosnicht.
The agents used these paraset radios, no bigger than a lunchbox, and this wartime footage shows how a Dutch resistance agent would have sent information back to Britain. Undercover, and most often operating at night, it was extremely dangerous.
They moved from house to house, location to location, always on the move. Pretty frightening, really. Your life expectancy was pretty short, and I have to say they were really brave, men and women.
After 5 months, Bram was captured and spent the rest of the war in prison camps. This is a photograph of his English sweetheart Anne, and on the back, his handwritten notes on how to operate the radio. They remain together to this day.
Ik ben op 73 jaar getrouwd.
I've been married for 73 years, he says. My wife always supported me after the concentration camp. She has always been the soul of my life.
Is altijd geweest the soul of my life.
He saw many friends and comrades die, but his bravery and his actions during the war will have helped countless others to live. John Maguire, BBC News.
What an extraordinary story.
Fabulous.
In amongst it, that amazing marriage, 73 years?
73 years.
Incredible story.
Brilliant.